Hello, and welcome to another edition of What a Week with myself, Mr. C, holding the fort. By no means by myself, though. I have my, how can I put it, man? My partner in crime. Yeah, man. He's like the butter to my hard dough bread. The one and only Tony Crossbody, ladies and gentlemen. What's happening, Tony? How you doing, man?
Oh, man, just recovered from the carnival weekend. I thought there was no carnival, but in reality, no, there was a carnival indeed. Just a low
Did you watch what was going on online, Tony? Or did you even take a trip down there?
You know what? I didn't. I was tempted, man. I thought, and it's funny, isn't it? The way, obviously, everybody kept it low key. The news kept it low key, but you know, there was quite a bit of action going on from what I could see.
Yeah.
Did you pop down there?
I didn't, man. I was so busy with some writing projects, so I had my head down. But I heard through the grapevine, I heard one or two little reports. I heard that there were a few little organizations who were down in the Notting Hill Carnival area who, with proper instruction and communication with the police, were allowed to play from 7 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. And then after 2, they locked that up. I did hear some other reports that how other people who didn't have any conversations with the police, they got the tap on their shoulder. Some people got emails. Some people got text messages saying, "Hey, what? We know say what you gotta do, you know. Nobody try it. We got to take away your thing and give you a £10,000 fine." So some people shut their down straight away, man.
Right.
Yeah.
I did get a couple of flyers from some big sound systems that were due to be done. They're playing till 7 o'clock. I don't know whether that actually happened, but it looked very official. And I mean, these sound systems are big enough that they would have had to discuss it with the police because of noise level. The noise levels would have been high. Right.
Well, no, I did actually hear that one or two sound systems were told that if you play in the carnival area unauthorized, you will never, ever, 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 and that's a long time, be playing at carnival again. So yeah, they was serious this year. They were serious. It almost felt like it was a ghost situation. You know, like you're kind of like you was waiting to see the news reports. You was waiting to see, and it just felt weird for me this year, man. It felt really weird, really weird, man. Right.
So let's say quick good evening to Paulette. Hello, Paulette. Welcome to the show.
Big up yourself, Paulette, man.
Nice to see you.
Good evening to you. Yes, man.
Yeah, man. So well, you know, I saw some people on Facebook had their costumes on, had the Zoom party. I think Rampage did a thing, didn't they? And they were everybody Rampage. Their costume dancing in their house. So this is going to be a memorable carnival, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think for the first time there was a lot of carnival goers who didn't have problems getting back to their yard. Okay, you know, some people get absolutely wrecked at carnival, man.
Yeah.
But it felt different for me because, you know, I like to go and catch by Mastermind Sound System just behind the Sainsbury's there, and I kind of missed it. I absolutely missed it this year. I just felt like I didn't even want to try and attempt to watch anything on Zoom because I think you can't recreate that atmosphere of carnival, you know.
No. I'm somewhat concerned though that this might be used as leverage to either minimize the carnival or carry out the plans that they were talking about with regard to you know, moving it into Hyde Park. Do you think that there could be some type of, you know, nefarious scheme over the next 12 months in sort of reducing it?
You know, I hear you, Tony, and I think that this has definitely been a plot and a scheme that they've been trying for many years to try and move Carnival from its location to somewhere where they can contain it. However, I think that, you know, the spirit of us as Caribbean African people, that we're not gonna make them do that, Massa. So nope, they can plot and plan as much as they want. It's not gonna happen. I want to say hello to Blossom Nation. Paulette was saying, I attended a lovely Rare Groove Park event in South London. There was police present, so the sound level was very low. Okay. If I'd known about that, I probably would have gotten to it. I love Rare Groove music, man.
You know, there's some people are organising it with headphones. So obviously you can hear it as loud as you want without disturbing people. But it is frustrating, isn't it? I mean, I can understand maybe why they're doing that, but it's frustrating to have a sound system playing music and then basically it's got to be turned really low where you've got to get so close up to it. Yeah. In order to enjoy the music.
I mean, something like Rare Groove, you might be able to appreciate that because you don't need too much bass in Rare Groove. I mean, even though we do need bass in our music, you don't need too much. But you know, something like reggae, it not gonna work. Yeah, we need to feel that bass thumping in our hearts and our chests, man. And yeah, you can't take the bass out of our music, man. But listen. Today we're joined by a very special guest, someone who is very, very dear to my heart. Some people will say that me and her have been in an entanglement for over 20 years. That will be entanglement as regards to comedy. She's like my sister. She's like my mother. She's like my lover sometimes. However, one thing I can say is that we will always be friends for life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome comedian, health advocate, Donna Spence.
Thank you for that. I love it. Thank you. Hi, Tony. Hi, C. How you doing?
Hi, Donna. How are you?
I'm not too bad. See you. Oh, you never cease to amaze me. I love it. Our entanglement is real, isn't it?
It sure is, man. It sure is. Our entanglement is so entwined. It's more than the. Is that a wig or is that your real hair you have by your head?
Hey, I pay for it. I have a receipt. It's mine. Okay. You're just jealous.
Listen, I'm so jealous. You're wearing it beautifully, man. It looks like a crown upon your head, my queen. Lovely, lovely. So Donna, let's start with yourself. Obviously, you know, you're well known, well respected through comedy, being a stand-up comedian and a host. Also, not just a stand-up comedian and a host, a businesswoman. You've put on your own shows. You was one of the first ones that I can think of to do your own comedy shows in a cinema at Streatham Odeon and also the Ritz in Brixton. Your comedy journey is taking you up and down the country, you know, abroad, and now you ventured into doing health. You know, explain to me why that happened. Explain to us why that happened.
It's really weird when you go back saying things like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, and you've been on that journey with me all the way as well, see. Health for me was always something. Like, I learned about health when I was 11 from my mum. But when my mum got ill, they claimed she had Parkinson's. Sorry about that. So they claimed she had Parkinson's disease, and then I so-called got fibroids. And they was trying to tell me that I had to take out my womb because they're always trying to take out women's wombs. And I was like, no, that's not happening. So then I started to research until I started to really love health. And then it got to a stage for me where I just couldn't let go of health because I could see the changes. I was helping myself, but I was helping other people. And then I reversed my mum's so-called Parkinson's. My mum wasn't talking for 3 years. She literally was just lying in the bed like a vegetable. And then they said there's nothing more they can do for her. I then looked at my mum and went, rubbish. Within about 4 months, my mum was sitting up, she was talking, she was moving around. The church sisters couldn't believe it. I literally spoon-fed her green juice and all the other supplements I could. And she was doing well. And she told me like 6 months before that she was dying, but she was well. She died with a smile on her face and she was well. And we reversed the Parkinson's. And so from there, it was like, for me, it's like a God bless thing. Like, it's a gift that I just couldn't let go of. So for 17 years now, I've been doing health, literally doing comedy and doing health. And C's had to suffer it as well, Tony, because I literally used to go to see, you can't have this, you can't do this, literally be hounding him. So he was my guinea pig for the first how many years?
Proper guinea pig, man. She was like Dr. Frankenstein with me, bro.
Really, I really was, because I was like, no, you can't. because I've got this thing about our health, and especially for us as Black people, even more so, because there's a lot of things they hide from us. They don't want us to know. They don't care to tell us. And we then have to really take this under our belt and make it happen. And that's really my passion. It's the same that I feel for men's health. Like, there's prostate care. There's, there's the heart disease. There's, obviously Chadwick, who sadly passed away from colon cancer, which didn't have to happen. I mean, that's like the third, it's like the third most known disease in the world, but it's preventable, so there's a lot of things that we now have to take on board and change. So I'm really passionate about it. So I'm part of a project called #Cancer Don't Let It Win. And I'm really passionate about making sure we get our health sorted.
Right, we've got a little clip here for which again, this is the thing with Donna. She always uses me as guinea pig. We'll have a little clip of one of the things which Donna has a way of influencing people to do little shout outs for her. Let's play this clip.
What's happening, people? It's Mr. C Comedian here, and today is no jokes. We're talking about a serious subject, of course, cancer. We've lost many loved ones, be it family, friends, and even some great comedians to cancer. Rest in peace, Felix Dexter. Particular type of cancer I want to draw attention to today is prostrate cancer. So if you're a male, as soon as you hit the age of 50, you need to be tested. If you're a Black male, you need to be tested from the age of 45. So what you need to do is go to your doctor, and he's going to do a test. It's called a PSA test, which stands for prostate specific antigen. Now, I know a lot of you Black men are thinking, well, no man for taking finger and shove it up inside my body. Well, listen, that's outdated. It's not like that anymore. It's just a simple blood test. And if you get that done, you can save your life or save a life. So remember, get the blood test.
There you go. Get the blood test. Cancer, don't let it win. #Cancer don't let it win. So, Tony, I have to ask you the big man question. Have you, sir, had the test?
Yes. About 6 or 7 months ago. Yeah.
Well done.
And what made you decide to do that, Tony? Just if you don't mind me asking.
I've been doing it sort of for every sort of 18 months for quite some time now. Ever since I got to 45. So every 18 months, 2 years. Sometimes I'd forget and they run over. But yeah.
Thomas, you're in your 30s. You look so young.
No, my 40s. But yeah, and I've actually the first one I actually had to have. They did actually talk about the digital exam.
Right. When you say digital, explain digital.
Well, you got digital, which is a number on the computer, and you have digital, which is your finger, right? So, so that's the one. That was one when I first started. That was the one they had in place, and I thought, you know what? Let me just leave it until they get a more sophisticated way of, doing it. So when they did, then I opted for it. And as you rightly said, I mean, men don't have to worry anymore. You go for the blood test. They check your results, and then a week or so later you go back and they tell you what your situation is. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. Men, do not fear. Do this on a regular, particularly if you're 50 and over. It's essential, and especially if your missus is basically behind you about it, she's encouraging you to do it. It is very important. It's good to know if there's something wrong, you know it early, you can treat it early.
Can I just say, though, we got this thing. I really want us to change this narrative about, because they said the same thing about colon, about, when you're in your 45s, when you're 50. But the truth of the matter is, Chadwick died at 43 and he knew for about 4 years. He probably knew from before that. We need to start going from our 20s and our 30s. This is a lie and a myth that they tell us. And for Black men, even more so, every 45 minutes, a man dies from prostate. Yeah, this is in 2019. That's not Black men, that's just men. 1 in 4 is for Black men and 1 in 8 is white men. So we really need to know that 45 and 50 is not cutting it. We need to be looking at 25 onwards. You know, and I really want our men to know this. And also about the supplements you guys can take, like Supplemento. There's loads of natural herbs, bloody whack with linseed. There's so many natural herbs that you can take to help you along the way. And we need to change this narrative, because anything that the GP or, I'm trying to be polite here, society says to you about, you know, 45, 50, always know it's a lie, and it must be at least 20 years apart, because we're 20 years behind in the UK anyway.
Right. Okay. No, man, don't hold back your talk, man. Talk your talk, man. So, you know, this is what we're here for. This is what, you know, what a week is all about. It's you know, this is not the BBC. It's not Channel 4. Right. We can express ourselves the way how we want to express ourselves, and we can, especially when it comes to you know, for our people, we can talk the talk the way how we want to talk it, straight up, straight from the hip.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because there's an agenda for you guys, and you need to know there's an agenda for you guys, and you need to change the narrative, and you need to go out to everybody you can. What we're doing at #Cancer Don't Let It Win, we're not waiting on them to tell us. We're not asking for permission. It's just two of us that are doing it. I'm not the main person. I'm more assisting, but I'm so passionate about it. So I really want you guys to really sit down and talk together. And you know, if someone's got to go and support someone, go and support them. Do you know what I mean? Get your prostate checked, get it checked, get your colon checked, do whatever you need to do, and I'm only a phone call away. Thank you,
man. Thank you.
So listen, have you had your check?
No, it's a very good question. I ashamedly have to say no, I haven't. And one of the reasons for this, and I say the only reason why I haven't had a check yet is that I'm probably one of the only people that I know who hasn't got a doctor.
Yeah, he isn't actually.
I haven't had a doctor for the last I think it's around about coming up to near enough 20 years now. And it's simply because I made inquiries last year as regards to seeing if there is a walk-in center or a particular hospital where I can just walk in and be tested. And the NHS was a bit slow in getting the information back to me. But once this pandemic has cleared, I will definitely be finding a place or registering with a doctor for the sole purpose of getting my check, because I'm in that age group now. However, I do eat very healthily. I'm very much aware of my health. To be honest with you, I think I could probably even self-examine myself. Because my hand is not as big as yours, Tony. No, you see, look, your hand is bigger than your head, man. No, you're going to give yourself problems. Seriously though, as soon as this pandemic is over and I feel that the hospitals is a safe place or a safe environment to go, I shall definitely be getting myself tested. Because again, I've had so many people in my family who've had problems with cancer. And, even my nephew has had problems with prostate cancer. I keep saying prostrate, it's prostate cancer. And
you're the only one who says it right, because I don't say it correctly. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's prostate, not prostrate. Yeah. But, I always say us black peeps. So Donna, is there any kind of female kind of, because like, to be honest with you, females, you're usually very good at early detection, be it for cervical cancer. It happens when you're quite young. I know for breast cancer, a lot of women are very much aware. Is there any other kind of health issues that women should be aware of and should be getting checked for at an early stage?
Yeah, there is. But one of the things I wanted to say as well for women, I think women don't realize, when we talk about breast cancer, they also need to know the powder, because us women, we always put powder underneath our breasts. Yeah. And we need to recognize.
I've noticed.
But we're actually using the wrong powder, because everybody keeps using this Johnson & Johnson powder. They've been sued in the last couple of years. But not only, there's lots of chemicals in this, and even if they're trying to get the regular powder, so we need to change to organic powder, because that is actually bringing on your breast cancer. It's waking up yourself.
Organic powder. So what's
something from Neil's Yard. I mean, somebody wants to message me or DM me, I'm happy to tell them. But you want something like Neil's Yard, anything more organic. It's going to be double the price of what you pay, but at least you know that you're doing something well for your body.
Definitely. And what about obviously, we talk about breast cancer, we talk about women, but there's a lot of men now who seem to be well equipped in that area. So should men be looking at and just Tony? I'm not looking at you. I'm just looking at the camera. I'm just looking at the camera.
He's pasty bad, you know. Here, go on. I can lend you my bra-tee, no problem.
No, but seriously, because you know a lot of men, you know, if you sweat heavily, you might use powder, talcum powder for your chest or for your underarm area, or again, old school. You're on the first date, you may put a little powder just down below on the little, you know, on the little fluffies. So
all right.
Yeah, manka, you know, if you shave. So again, it's not just ladies with their breasts putting powder. There may be men who are using talcum powder in certain areas for sports and whatever.
You're absolutely saying you need to be looking at organic powder. I mean, you have to understand that we've been played a lie and we need to change things. What I will say, one of the biggest things to do with our health, male or female, your gut is your second brain.
Right. Okay.
So that's why we have things. The doctor, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of leaky gut, for example.
No.
You've heard of leaky gut, Tony? Cool. And leaky gut is something most of the doctors won't turn around and tell you, but it's one of the biggest problems. So what it is, if you look at your gut, there's like a mesh, and as we get older and the foods that we eat, it starts to get larger and the food particles go in, and then we start to, you know, sometimes say, I eat a piece of food and I feel bloated.
Yeah.
That is part of leaky gut, which leads to things like colon cancer, prostate, thyroid issues, fibroids. All of these things lead on to these other illnesses. So your gut is something you really have to look after. You have to look at it as though it's like you've got a car and you've got your beautiful Ferrari, but if the engine hasn't got no oil in it, it's not going to work.
Right.
And that's the same for our gut. Our gut is the engine. That's it. And once you get that gut sorted, you're pretty much going to do really well. But we have to make sure our gut is sorted. We have to make sure things like deodorant, antiperspirant, blocking our cells. And we need to make sure that they're not blocked, because all of those things cause a problem. Your toothpaste, fluoride in your toothpaste is rat poisoning. It's the same thing they use in rat poisoning. You know, the things that you use on around your home, your shampoo, your conditioners, your shower gels are the same thing they use to strip a car engine. So we have to be aware of what we are doing. It's not just about making money being organic. You have to understand the process. We're not eating like we used to. A cow doesn't eat grass anymore, it eats grains. So if the cows eat grains, you're not having grass fed, there's a problem.
No, thank you. Dropping some big knowledge there, Donna. Cancer, don't let it win, says a man at the age of 38 was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So the narrative on waiting until you're in your 40s needs to be questioned. Right. Thank you for that. Paulette also gave me some tips. Don't shave, use hair removal cream. Or I can just wait for it to just drop out naturally. But listen, there's been some big announcements this week. Tony, I think you've seen something what's going to affect any of us as parents who have got children going back to school. Please share that knowledge that you've just found out, Tony.
Just before I do that, I just wanted to ask Donna just something quickly about fibroids, Donna.
Sure.
Oh, good question, Tony.
Do we have any natural way of treating fibroids? Because we know, of course, a large amount of our sisters are suffering from it, and normally when they go to get it treated, the doctors say, well, take your womb out and then put on HRT tablets. Are there, to your knowledge, any natural ways to deal with fibroids?
Yes, there is. There's a process, though. I mean, I had 18 fibroids. Excuse me, and I did get mine removed, but I had a myectomy instead. However, it is all about your food. And yes, there are many ways that you can shrink the fibroids, but the earlier you detect it, the better. You see, the lie that we get told, we go to the doctors and they say, oh, you've only got 2 and they're really small. And then they leave us and then they grow bigger and bigger. And then we don't know what to do, because when you're asked, oh, why do I get fibroids? They don't know, but it is to do with the food. Our diets are so full of white flour, rice. You know, if you look at rice, why do we have to wash white rice so much? because it's a starch. So we need to get rid of it. So the fibroids will just keep growing because fibroids, like every disease, love sugar. And everything about us is hidden within sugar. We have Kool-Aid, we're having orange juice, we have Ribena, we're having all things that are related to that. And the way to reduce your fibroids, which I did before I had the best operation ever because it was simple because I'd reduced most of it by then, was I green juiced. So when you're talking about juices and smoothies and alkaline foods, best way to reduce it. But there's things like burdock root, chastity herb. There's lots of things that you can take to reduce the fibroid, but the earlier you get it, the better. Seek a naturopath as early as possible. Once the doctor tells you got it, leave them and go and find your own way. And that's the honest truth. And I'm, like I said, I'm only a phone call away. My company's Happy Health Emporium. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
Hope that helps, really.
No, it does very much so because you know, a number of women we meet who suffer with it, and you know, give them that advice. And you know, the NHS has us very much a slash and burn policy, which is, you know, if you've got a problem, let's cut it off, right? So
yes,
right.
I think the sisters will be very interested in knowing a more natural path to take. It's going to take a bit more discipline, of course, because we're talking about eating habits and lifestyle. But in order to preserve your womb and to stay in good health, then the advice that God was given.
I think the addiction is the problem. Sorry, I know we got time. I think the addiction is our biggest problem, the addiction to things that we don't know. Sorry, just a quick note as well. One of the things as well is that we have too much sugar. So for a man, you're only allowed 38 grams of sugar, which is about 8 to 10 teaspoons of sugar a day. And women are allowed, I think it's like 5 teaspoons or 10 teaspoons. That's 20 grams a day. We do that in breakfast. Right. So this is the problem. And if you go to the doctors and you ask them about sugar, they tell you that they don't know. They only know about salt. Sorry, C, I know you've got to move on. My apologies. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say that Empress has made another good point on the same subject, that stress is also a very big issue with fibroids. And I was going to say as well that, again, what happens is when you get stressed, you start comfort eating, and you're comfort eating the wrong things, which again is piling on the pressure of the fibroids, and then it becomes even more stressful, and then you do more eating of the wrong things. So, you know, it's a catch-22 situation.
Most are related to stress, though, because we are in stressful environments, and our immune system is one of the biggest key, because your immune system is the hub of your whole body, and simple things like vitamin C can change everything about our lifestyle.
Yeah, well, ladies, if you need any more vitamin C, then my number is 07.
There's good vitamin C and bad vitamin C.
I'm the bad one. So, Tony. So moving things on.
Entanglement.
Tony, compose yourself.
Swiftly moving on. So the new school term has started, right?
Thank goodness.
So the government is encouraging all kids to go back to school. But I think perhaps a lot of us are not aware of the laws that have been changed, whereby if your child or grandchild has been detected of having coronavirus, there are certain laws in place now that give the government certain rights. So maybe we can just play a video now to inform you about this.
Well, one thing that's not happening in UK is we're not protecting our own children. On Monday, we raised the question of the Children's Commissioner, who seemed to be possibly asking some appropriate questions to do with what was happening with COVID and school children. But I'm really delighted to say this is the thing which caught our attention this morning. We know now that parents are starting to ask the right questions. So this was circulating on social media. The handle is Spotted Painton. Has anyone else had a letter from their child's school saying that from September, if any child shows symptoms of COVID-19, they will be tested at school, and then if positive, they can be taken off to a secure place without their parents. This is very worrying, and I am thinking of homeschooling my children because of this. There's more to this than meets the eye. There's a section on the web in the COVID-19 legislation stating this as well, so it's 100% true. Speak to your children's school. Now, I'm going to say this is really excellent because parents are starting to realise that their children are at risk from the COVID regulations. If you don't know what's happening at school, you really need to. And we've also had this email in. Well, basically what it's saying is, I've taken these figures on face value. We have not done a direct check on the figures, so they may be out, but we're taking the point of the email. It says there are 8.89 million in schools in England in 2020. That's a lot of COVID tests. As we know, lots of tests means lots of cases, and lots of cases means lots of lockdown and lots more tracing and more testing. Somebody really seeing through this really horrific British government policy. And it goes on to say this: what better way to boost the test and trace system than using schools for the following reasons? The school environment and structure is already predicated upon giving orders and obeying orders, an ideal controlled setting. 2, it's a public space, i.e. not a home, often with fences and surveillance technologies installed. In some schools, this now includes facial recognition, Bluetooth wristbands, thermal imaging cameras. Children will naturally be easier to control. Parents are not present, no choice because of the work. 1 in 7 people of the total 66 million in the UK will be at school. So we are now seeing people finally starting to react to this immensely dangerous lockdown policy of Boris Johnson's Conservative government. And of course, people realising that the children are most at risk, because the new normal future means that your children are going to suffer most if you as a parent allow it to happen. It's
Wow. Sorry, man. That's that you've hit us with a bomb there, man.
Yeah, that's taken from a regular TV news show called UK Column Live. So I think they come on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and they basically give you the behind the scenes report as to what's really going on in the country, apart from what you normally hear from the BBC, Sky News, and the normal sort of reporting. So what do we think about that? Well, what do we think about this law that was framed? It's there. We can check it. That gives the government rights over your children and your grandkids in this manner.
Well, the first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what my child's school is saying. That's the first and that's the first thing what I'm going to be doing. So come tomorrow, I'm phoning my child to find out where they stand with that new policy. And I want whatever, COVID policies they've got to be sent to me directly. And I'm going to be looking through them before I decide whether my child's going back to school or not.
For me, I knew about this from probably about 2012 that they were going to be doing it, because they've not hid the information. It's just that now everybody's now paying attention. I'm glad people are waking up. I'm really, really glad people are waking up to it. And the more we unite is the more they can't do anything. We have to realize how powerful we are. And it's not about, when all this marching was going on, it's like, yeah, but what are you marching for though? What is it you want? And we have to be clear about what we want, and we have to stand together. We must unite together. There is big changes when you unite together. And you've got to remember that England especially can't take noise. They don't like shame. So you unite together and you say, actually, I'm not doing this. And the petitions are great, but we got to remember, when you go on to things like change.org, who owns it? Isn't it Bill Gates? He's got shares in it. So that's pointless. We need to really either sign, there's particular petitions you need to sign, and there are particular events you need to be at. Like Trafalgar Square on Saturday was amazing. It was almost like being at Carnival. It was a great event. David Icke was there. It was off the hook. But if you watch the news, you think that, it wasn't really that great. People were awake, no masks, people hugging, and people talking about the school system. I don't think that school system is going to work, because we are talking about it. We're making things happen. We're upset. There's no color thing about it. We are all just upset about it. And people, whether we got children or not, we know it's out of order.
Tony, what were your thoughts when you saw it?
Well, I mean, it comes as no surprise to me, to be honest with you. I mean, I've long known that there's policies at hand to change the way we live, not just in the UK, but around the world. I mean, part of what's going on in America, putting aside the racial issues with Trump and all that, has all got to do with the way America is going to be governed in the future. And as such, the world in general, the EU, major shifts policy shifts are being made around the world, and so we're just part of that process. But I noticed, you know, it's how organizations such as the BBC, Sky News, how they report on these things, don't they? They reported that there was a demonstration in Trafalgar Square of COVID deniers. You know, you just I love the terminology, because the whole point being is that you see these are some fringe, crazy conspiracy theorists
Always.
who need to be ignored because we're telling you the truth about COVID. Do you see? So if you don't see through that, then you're going to buy the narrative. The problem we've got, of course, is that, and it is really hard to tell in terms of percentages, but you know, we could say, for example, that half the population believes it and half do not. And you can see that, for example, go in any supermarket on any given day now. Quite a few people that don't have masks, and a lot do. And so there's this division in, you know, whether people believe the government line or they don't. And obviously there is, by means of the press, because the mainstream press is nothing more than the government's propaganda arm. And they're there to tell the population, look, this is what the situation is. If you see people saying anything different, you're to shun them because, you know, they're conspiracy theorists. So it's no surprise, but I think, as Donna said, when wising up is good, but also actually, like what you said, Mr. C, is taking action, finding out from the school what their policy is going to be when your child or grandchild returns, so that, you know, you don't have a situation where you turn up at the school to pick up your child and they're not there.
Right.
But surely, I mean, let's think of this sensibly. We don't honestly believe that the government is putting a policy like this in place just to take away people's children. Surely not. It's got to be just for health reasons.
Okay. So first of all, you think you actually own your child. That's the funny thing about it. You gave rights you gave rights away for your child from your child was born. You had a birth certificate, so they already can take your child anytime they want. That's why if you don't take your child to school, excuse me, if you don't take your child to school, they can put you in jail and take away your child. Your child doesn't belong to you in the first place.
You have I've heard stories of such, but I've got a lot more control over my children than most people.
Well, yeah, I know you have, but I'm just saying, on the whole, if we're playing devil's advocate, that's what it is. And I know Tony, even though I don't know Tony, I know Tony knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so we're talking about the registration of our children. So yeah, again, it's very much the same principle as with your car. That if your car belongs to you, therefore, how can anybody take your car, crush it, etc., etc. If you don't abide by certain other kind of laws?
Right.
Because the registration, i.e., registering it to the king.
Your child is leased. Your child is leased.
Correct.
Right?
Your child is leased.
Your body is leased. That's why when you receive summons from the government or from the courts, it's always in capital letter. It's what they call a straw man.
Tony's my man.
Exactly.
So that's right.
Sherry Black says exactly true. Read the bottom of the birth certificate. So
Right.
if you've got a birth certificate, read the bottom of it. So yeah, very, very good point.
You are a number. We all are numbers. That's why the government can come in, you know, social services can come to your house, kick your door and take your parents away, take your kids away. And they frame the law in such a way that they can do this. So that's the reality. Is you can fight as much as you want, but then after you fight, they'll take you away too. So that's the reality. You don't actually, by law, own your own body.
That's right. That's right.
You live as if you are, right? And you're not told otherwise. But the reality is, the way laws have been created, and long time ago, you are owned by the state, and your birth certificate confirms that.
Worldwide, globally, and that's what people need to realize. The numbers on your birth certificate, if you call the stock exchange, that's how much you're worth. Do you know what I mean? Your national insurance number, all of it. I mean, there's ways around everything. So when they're talking about conspiracy theories, these same people, we all are around. We can't be all crazy. We know something's not right and we're not silly. But now, this is why I say the COVID that's happened was one of the best times. God's resetting the world. I'm like, go ahead, because it's going to change, because people are waking up. They never thought we were going to wake up the way that we are, but we're waking up.
Fantastic. Listen, we could talk about this subject all day long, but we're just going to move things over. We're going to touch back slightly on Carnival, because there was one particular superstar who missed Carnival. So she posted on her Instagram, I do believe, of her love for Carnival, and it caused quite a bit of stir. And let's have a look at this. So here we have is superstar Adele, who was criticized for cultural appropriation after wearing Jamaican bikini and also her hairdo. Tony, when you was looking at this, did you kind of have a deep desire for jerk chicken and patty? What was your thoughts when you saw Adele?
I'm going to be honest, and I'm probably going to sound like a contrarian, but I didn't really see it as cultural appropriation as a lot of people see it. You know, I mean,
I love you, Tony. I love you.
Stefflon Don and the Jamaican DJ Popcorn, Naomi Campbell all agree with me. They didn't see it that way either. I don't know who the individuals were that actually sort of made noise up about it. Look, it was one day. The one day was a Caribbean cultural festival. To me, what I saw was someone paying homage to it. We don't know whether or not she's been to Jamaica regularly or been to Carnival regularly. I've seen reports of her constantly being in the Caribbean on holiday. I don't know where she's been exactly. And to me, I don't really take no issue with it. I really don't. So I'm interested to hear why this is such a problem.
Well, listen, if any of our viewers have you felt that Adele was taking the cultural appropriation, then please let's hear your comments. Donna, what did you thought when you saw Adele with her 2 Jamaica flags?
She needs to put on some weight, first of all, to represent Jamaica. First of all, she just looked skinny and mager, and she didn't look good.
Stop it! You're not doing comedy now, sis.
No, but I'm serious. I was like, I'm a bit like, I don't care. I don't care enough about her. You know what? The fact that you recognize Carnival, go on, girl, cool. But like, your maga got eat. In fact, your niece got eat some jerk chicken because you look terrible.
Oh,
that's
bless,
it.
Man.
Bless,
right.
I didn't really think anything, to be honest.
That's the first thing. So when I said, is that Adele? Is that Adele? Because the way I know.
Yeah, exactly.
But she, honestly, you know, sometimes, no disrespect, sometimes, because you know when sisters, well, let's say women generally, when they're on a roll, you know, they put weight on and then they're taking it off. Sometimes, you know, they put the gas down too much and then they start getting, you know, that big bubble head, looking like a lollipop, you know, like with a little skinny body. And
thank you.
Look at Adele there. Her head looks quite big and the body looks
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
she doesn't look. There's nothing on her.
Look at that head.
That looks like the old Adele to me.
Yeah. Just that's what struck me more than, you know, the Bantu knots or the costume.
She just looks like any old cheap. To be fair, she just looks like a chav on the 10th floor estate somewhere.
Listen,
that's what she looks like.
Well, you know what? I didn't have any problem with what Adele was wearing or what she'd done with her hair. I felt it was quite rich, actually, coming from some of the people I saw commenting had European weaves on their head. Yeah, with colored contact lenses, and I thought to myself, how dare you? Or to the other country, some of them were wearing European clothing, either be it Gucci, Prada, whatever it was, and I'm thinking, you're a hypocrite. You're an absolute hypocrite.
Yeah,
you know, you're driving European cars, or you know, come on, you know.
I hear you.
All the equipment that you've got in your yard and everything is nothing to do with Africa or the Caribbean, and it's absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I've never, you know what it is? I think we've become racist. Like we've become like racist white people who just want to complain.
Yeah.
You know, anytime they see anything, like what was it this week? There was an advert. Was it Argos had an all black
family? Yeah.
Family.
Oh, I never saw that.
Racists lost their minds.
Really? I never saw that. Funny enough, but what I did hear about was that they're going to do some I think is it Channel 4 going to do an all black day with all black presenters and all black, and people kicked off on Twitter. And I actually get why they kick off, because if you're going to show us one black day full of black people, then the next day go back to white, you're racist.
Well,
Sandra Henry says that the hairstyle just didn't sit right with her. Adele's hairstyle didn't sit right with her.
Understand.
Well, listen,
I mean,
there's a lot of...
But I can guarantee you now, Adele is not walking around her yard today, you know, doing scrambled eggs in that outfit with that hairstyle. That done take out already. She did it. She did it for the day. She enjoys Carnival. She said, "Look, I want to be part." You know, we all know she got a Jamaican entanglement on the side, right?
So yeah, what's this about? I missed it because I heard she had something with. Well, I saw Chris Savage, one of the comedians, do a take on it, which was hilarious. And I think she had, Skepta Masagia one patia. I don't know what happened, something. So
I think it was bigger than a patty, mate. I think it was bigger than a patty, and it had a lot more meat in it.
Ooh, that's funny. So, who's she dealing with? See, I'm so behind. Is she meant to be dealing with somebody black?
I don't know. It's just conjecture on my part. You know, the point being is that, you know, her appearing in that manner, I think, has more to do with respect for the
culture. Respect for the culture.
Yeah, more than likely, right? So,
and I think Empress hits it right on the head here. She says that Adele was born in Tottenham. She is very much in touch with her Caribbean flavor, and it's Chinese bumps, not Bantu knots.
Right, there you go.
Well done.
Yeah, it's true.
Sharon Webb says that all Black Day is set for next year, Donna, not even this year. That's correct. It is for next year.
Sorry, say that again.
Sharon Webb is saying that they're all Black Day for Channel 4. It will be next year.
It's not next year. Okay,
next year.
You.
That's correct. Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
correct. So Black.
I think sometimes we do get very sensitive.
Sherry Black says, I thought she looked like a Jamaican peacock, but I wasn't offended.
Right.
It's true though.
Yeah.
Oh my days!
I just think that some of us do get triggered for trivia sometimes. You know, it's a bit like you know, you go into a shop and the shopkeeper deals with your way, and rather than think, well, maybe the guy had a bad day, we say, well, it's because I'm black, that's why he treated me like that. You know, we can.
Yeah.
You see Adele and that, them teeth out, and blah blah. You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, if you see Adele at her concert singing that, wearing that outfit, right, then you might have something to say. Or you know,
exactly.
but matter is the day that she did it, the occasion. To me, it's like she's paying homage. She know what it's about.
Yeah.
Let's let it go.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I mean, you know, we can't. We at the end of the day, we want our businesses to sell. We want to be remembered. We want to be known. And she done it. She done homage to it. So she wasn't disrespectful. She wasn't standing there trying to speak any path or whatever. She was just representing. So
man, and like what millions do during Carnival, we see people embracing the full culture of Carnival in so many different ways, be it be through the food, be it through the appreciation of the sound systems, the floats, the Carnival spirit, the clothing. Yeah, it's all there on Carnival, and I think, you know, God bless you, Adele, for showing that, you know what, you want to be, you want to show the world that you're embracing our culture. So thank you, and that's what we want.
Yeah,
that's what we want. What a week. I think the biggest story this week has gotta be wow. We lost the king, man. Chadwick Boseman passed away at the age of 43 with colon cancer. He will be surely missed. Tony, where was you when you heard the news, and what thoughts ran through your mind?
Well, I believe I heard it Sunday morning. You know, because most of us now are social media addicts, and the first thing we look at is our phone. And before I had my breakfast, I had to read about this man's passing. I have to be honest here and make a confession. I have not seen Black Panther. I've not seen any of his movies.
Oh wow!
So I'm not in a position to say much about him with regard to his body of work. But in the short time that he's been around, he's actually made quite more movies than I thought. I think it's about 7 or 8 films, but because I'm not really a film goer and I don't really buy into too much hype, I haven't seen any of his movies. But certainly, I mean, I know he's a well-known, well-loved, well-respected figure, and it wasn't the thing you want to sort of wake up looking at on Sunday morning. And I'm quite interested to hear what Donna has to say with regard to colon cancer, because I had no idea it was preventable. So maybe Donna can enlighten us. But the thing that struck me about that incident is, look, maybe he wasn't aware of the fact that he could do something about it, and yet for all the money and the fame, the man had to do life at such an early age. That's what I found really sad about that whole story.
Well, there you go. Just for you, Tony. Nicola is saying that they're showing the James Brown bio tonight, which is called oh gosh, I forgot what the name of it is now.
It's a good film, actually. He tells it well.
Famous line from James Brown. Oh gosh, it's from one of his songs. Anyway, so of course, Chadwick plays James Brown in that absolute fantastic biopic. It's on Channel 4 tonight. So Tony, give it a little look. So Donald, you know, where was you when you heard the news about Chadwick?
I'm trying to remember where I was. I think.
And what ran through your mind?
I can't. What
ran through your mind? I was
more angry because I knew it was preventable, and I knew that. I think the most upsetting thing for me is that I want to help so many people to say, no, don't listen to that. This is what you need to do. And it's hurtful because he'd known for a while. And to be fair, I did try through a long route to try to get hold of. But when you find out that somebody's ill, when somebody finds out they're ill, they kind of recline. They don't really, they kind of focus on doing things. And once they've accepted, I'm going to die or whatever it is, then they just shut everything out and focus on what they need to do. And so that was kind of hurtful because it's like, it's the 3rd most common cancer in the world, but it's the 4th highest in the US.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's not like you can't prevent it. It's preventable. It's probably one of the most ones that you really have to watch your food because you're talking about your colon. So literally everything you eat goes to your intestines, to your colon. So you alkaline your food, you go back to basics, you make sure that you're having fruits and veg, green foods, make sure everything is as close to nature as possible, and pretty much you've reversed it in a very short space of time because every 30 days you get brand new cells. So if you think of it in terms of in 3 months, he could have changed a whole complete. Completely. He knew for about 4 years, but he, everything, he probably didn't know what it was or how to repair it because there's money in the disease, not the cure. Yeah. And really, I think it's about 9 or 10 years that he would have really known, meaning that his body would have known, but he wouldn't have known. And, you know, signs for that are things like diarrhea. It's a confusion of signs because you get things like diarrhea, for example, that you might be constipated. Then you got a change in stools if it's more than 4 weeks. And then you've got things like, there's lots of people get polyps, for example. Men especially get a lot of polyps. And polyps is a big thing.
Yeah, so what is polyps?
It's benign tumours. So they literally sit on the colon and you basically have a simple operation, it's gone. But you have all these stomach aches, all these problems beforehand. And the doctors don't say to you, listen, you need to be really careful because once you get polyps, you could be open to. They don't tell you. If you have things like Crohn's or any inflammatory disease, you are open for colon cancer. Yeah. But they don't want to tell you because it's money. Yeah. And so it's important, you know, we have to change white potatoes, white rice, then drinks, the cakes. And when you talk about America, everything in America has got sugar in it. Literally every single thing. So you literally have to change your diet. You have to change to things like sauerkraut. I don't know if you know what sauerkraut is. It's like fermented vegetables.
It sounds German to me.
Yeah, well, it kind of comes from that, but it's actually vegetables in pickle, literally. But it's fermented. But you'd have it with your rice and you'd have it with your food or whatever you want to do if it's made properly. Those things ferment your stomach. Again, everything's about your gut. Yeah. So when you're talking about magnesium, trace minerals, very high forms of vitamin D. In fact, the people who do really well of reversing colon cancer is when you have high levels of vitamin D. Do you know what I mean? It's really,
vitamin D. So there we go. Wow, listen, you know, it's a sad day for all of us in the, you know, who love films, and again, I think the role that he played T'Challa in Black Panther. I know, Tony, you said you're the only black person in living history who hasn't seen the film.
No. There's a few of us.
We need to send people around your. We need to send people around your yard and do a little scratch test to see if you're really black. You know, little scratch test. Scratch him and see if he one and need. But yeah, I think what it was about Chadwick, which you know, again, the stars have come out and said it's his mannerisms and the way how he was with people. He was so giving. I mean, him himself, his story of how he managed to even get into acting was for the fact that when he was at drama school, his teacher was Rashada from.
Oh yes, Rashada.
Yes. And she's a good friend of Denzel Washington, and Denzel actually paid for his scholarship to become an actor. So again, it was from one great actor being generous to an unknown, which has put him in this position. And even throughout the films that he's been involved in, you know, all of the actors speak about how generous he was, how he would, you know, even say like today was the day of recording, but Chadwick was the kind of person who would have contacted you the day before and gone through the scene with you just to make you feel comfortable within that scene, and so that you could bring something different, something more real to the actual scene. He died on August 28th, as you said, Donna, from colon cancer, which he suffered from 4 years. And there was one thing what I really loved about the story that have come out as well, is that, you know, number one, I didn't even know he was married. Right. I didn't know he had a wife. And then as I found out now that his wife was his long-term partner, his long-term girlfriend, and that he literally had married her months or weeks before he actually passed. And I just think that, again, that's a wonderful thing what he done. And, you know, sometimes, you know, sometimes as men, we just don't do the right things. And the fact that he wanted to make sure that his love was secure, through the marriage and everything, I think it was a wonderful thing. The thing what I found sad about it, and I don't know, Tony, if you can kind of share this, is this fact that for 4 years he had this, and it seems like nobody really knew about it. And we hear this all the time about, you know, men, particularly, especially black men, suffering with particular symptoms and not sharing, not telling anybody about it. And of course, it brought back memories of Felix Dexter, who again had been diagnosed with cancer for many years, and none of us knew. So I just want to say, Tony, as you know, man to man, and Donna, feel free to join in this one as well. Do you find that sometimes, Tony, if you're going through things, do you share it with females close to you, or do you keep it to yourself as a man? What goes through your mind?
No, I mean, I think it's important to talk to those who are close to you. There's this unwritten pressure about men in this world, and particularly in this country where the culture is stiff. You have a stiff upper lip, don't cry. You know, if you were brought up in the Caribbean, it was a very similar method, and men were supposed to be men. And what that did was block you from expressing your emotions and your feelings. And I think men have this problem, particularly with other men, because I think psychologically we have this thing that we don't want to seem vulnerable to other men. We don't want to, because we think if we open ourselves, we're gonna leave ourselves exposed for exploitation. So a lot of us try to hold on to this sort of stuff, and we leave it to. I mean, I've known of men who have died, you know, having cancer, and nobody ever knew. And I don't think that applies to Chadwick's case, because obviously he knew 4 years ago, but his fans were pointing out to him, well, Chadwick, why have you lost so much weight? And his answer was, you know, I'm working on a film role, so, you know, that sort of kept the pressure off. But you're right in saying that a lot of black men particularly, we're not very good at expressing ourselves and how we feel. We more suffer in silence. We have a high rate of depression and mental health issues within the community. And a lot of that comes from not feeling that we can trust anyone and communicate.
Yeah. I can say for me, I'm really, really blessed that I have a lot of men coming to me. I would class myself, I'm honored that men do. And I have men that come on my shoulder and cry, but it is personal between me and them, and they don't want their families to know. I actually have to spend time saying, look, this is how you got to tell your partner, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I have to be with them when they're telling their partner. Do you know what I mean? So I'm honored that I'm told, I'm the one they come to with it, but it's true. Men, especially black men, they don't say anything, they hold it in. What I will say, I think this, I don't know for sure, but this is what I think Chadwick done, and what most men do. he probably wanted to get the body of his work done to make sure his family was going to be okay when he passed. So he was like focused and done what he had to do. So he wasn't going to tell nobody. And especially when you're in our business, you know, if everybody knows, you stop getting work. So you shut your mouth and you go, you know what? I'm going to hide this for as long as I can. Like, you know, the late Felix Dexter, God rest his soul. He never told anybody, probably because he wanted to get, because he was a workaholic. And it's about his work, and they do the work, and then until they hold on for as long as they can till they go, all right, this is where it's at. Do you know what I mean?
Oh man, we could discuss our things all week long, and you know, sometimes an hour is not enough. Donna, please, just in wrapping up, let us know where we can get in contact with you and find out more about all the lovely health things that you're doing.
So on Insta, I have Happy Health Emporium, or officially Donna Spence. You can find me also on Facebook with Happy Health Emporium, and hashtag cancer don't let it win on Insta or email.
And also Tony as well, because we're now coming back into the school term, and I know you do some wonderful work within the schools. So again, if there's parents out there who want to get somebody like yourself involved in their school, where can they contact you and find out more information as the wonderful work you do with our children, sir? Well,
you can find me on Insta, Tony Crossbody, and I'll basically, you could DM me and I could sort of give you some advice. I'm also trying to encourage a lot more men to take up mentoring. Because we do need it. We have a lot of youngsters in schools, no fathers around, big brothers, and so I'm trying to encourage them to sort of look at their skill set and what they can bring to that equation. So we'd love to see more men. There are quite a few women doing it, believe it or not, but we could always do more. I mean, you know, we do have a lot of kids that really need sort of support from the elders, and so that's really the point I can make about that. And from today's discussion, well, clearly your food is your medicine.
That's right. You said it in one. I'm loving Tony.
Your health is your wealth. Well, listen, that's about it from us this week. Again, we dedicate this show to Chadwick Boseman, his family, his friends, born November 29th, 1976, passed to Wakanda forever on August the 28th. We will remember him for his roles as James Brown in Get On Up, for Jackie Robinson in 42, but forever he will be our king as T'Challa in Black Panther. This has been What a Week. Wakanda forever. Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.